What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to implement the swipe to unlock functionality in FlutterFlow without using any custom code. Now, there are several ways of doing this. FlutterFlow themselves put out a video, but I saw some people commenting on that and saying it's too complicated because they made use of a custom function. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do it in the easiest way possible. So stick around, and if you haven't already, please hit subscribe and be sure to engage with the content. This really helps me to grow. So let me demonstrate what we are going to achieve by the end of this video. So this is simple screen that we have right here. We have this animation that is saying slide to unlock, and if I hold this thing and start dragging, it's going to change to unlocking. Now if I leave it at this point, it's going to return back to its initial position, right? If the unlock is not completed, it's going to return back to its initial position. Then if I drag all through, then it's going to unlock the device, right? This is it, the device is unlocked. Now I can click to lock it back, and you see this is how it will have. Anyways, let's get into the video and let me demonstrate you how this was done. So here's my simple page here on FlutterFlow. I already have the setup together. It's just a simple page. As you can see, the widget tree is very simple. Here I have this initial container, and I've set, let me start with the page state instead. I have this page state variables here that I'm using to determine the actions that happen on this page. So the current X is the current X is used to keep track of the current position in which I'm dragging at relative to the X dimension, right? Because there's X and Y, horizontal and vertical. So I have this is locked. It's a boolean that is just a state that toggles whether it is the device is locked or unlocked. So it can either be true or false. Then I have button text, which is just a string, and I write slide to unlock. This is what I use to keep track of this string that is being shown inside here. So you see here, this text is being set dynamically from this page state called button text, right? And I'm going to update it when I'm sliding. So here on this what do we call it, this container, I just simply have like a background image, and the conditioner is if the device is locked, I use the image I saw before of the green the corrected image, this image is currently showing. Otherwise, if the device is open, I use another image, right? That's just simply what I have done here in this conditional state. Okay, now on to the implementation. This is just a stack of unlocked. I have an unlock icon and lock icon. Depending on whichever state, the icon is going to be displayed, so that's nothing to worry about. Now the key thing that happens is on this button. So I have this stack initially. Look at this design. I have this container, right? This is the container of this specified width. I specify the width as 340. Then I fill the background color, just set some borders. And inside this container, I have this stack. Now, what are the elements in this stack? I have this stack. I have a row, right? This is just for my design. I have this row, right? Inside this stack, I have this row. That is simply for this text. This row is just to hold the text that has an animation. And this container, I'm using this container just to give it some spacing from the left side. So this text just have this text has an animation, and you can see the animation is just simple like shimmer effect. I have the fade in and shimmer. It's just a simple animation that I set on the text. Then this container is just used to like just add some spacing behind. And for the row, I made it to align to the left. Now it's going to shift so that I have space for this other stack element. It is very important. This other element I have inside my stack is this container, and it's just simply a container that has another stack of a container and an icon. I do not want to use a button icon, so it's just as simple as that. And on this container itself, right, this container, that the circular container that the users hold to drag, I have this animation on it that simply slides from left to right. It is in from left to right, therefore it slides from initial position to final position. That is just simply what it does. Loop animation. So I have this on page load. Then there is still another animation that I have here. This animation is what is responsible for when I'm moving based on the X direction. This container tutu should move. So on action trigger, I have this animation that is just simply a slide. And the key thing to note here is the final X position. The final horizontal position is the current X. So whatsoever value that is going to be held at this page state is going to be the value that this whole container is animating from its initial position to that X state. That is all the setup that you need. Now, for our animation or for the sliding effect, I come on this container itself, this container that we have here, and on my action, I have two actions, right? two action triggers. So we have on horizontal drag update and on horizontal end when it has ended. Just this page states are just to keep track of things, so you don't have to worry much. I'll explain them in a second. Now on horizontal drag update, it means when you start dragging from left to right, as you start dragging, what I'm doing is I'm simply setting the current x, like the page state current x, to be a code expression of the previous location, which is the previous current x, right? As you can see, previous is the current x, and then the current location, which is also a double, and the current location is the delta x value. Therefore, how far this thing, you can see here they say delta x is the amount the pointer moved in the x direction. So it is going to be the how far this particular widget has moved from the previous position that it was. So the previous position plus how far it has moved is going to give the final delta x, and that is what I just simply do. Then I sum the two, so previous plus current, then I get the resultant x value that I'm going to set in this current x. Therefore, that's how far that thing has navigated. Now when you do that, you should be able to get like at least the navigation working. I can disable this and then you trigger this widget animation, like this start this container animation. I can disable this thing just so you see how that is going to work. I can disable this, and when I reload, we are going to see that so far it's working very functional. So as you can clearly see, we have this initial animation that is just doing this animation that we have on that thing on page load that goes back and forth. It's a loop, and when I drag, you should be able to drag like nothing is happening. You can drag right up to the end, nothing is going to happen, right? Oh, that did not look like it reloaded very well. I've reloaded again, and let's try that here. So we have this now, and we should be able to see that this thing still drags, and you see if we leave it here, it's going to end here. If we leave it somewhere around here, it's going to end here. We've not implemented all of that functionality. So let me walk you through it. Let's continue. So over here we have this drag this thing. Excuse me, we have, yes, this is our widget on drag update. Let me enable this thing back. Enable action. So what I'm currently doing is if the current x is less than 110, therefore if the current x position is less than 110, that's around somewhere in the middle of this container, because we set this container to be about 300, I think, or 320, 340. Yeah, it's somewhere around the middle. So if this current x is somewhere around the middle of this container, what should happen? We have an action here that update the page state, and this is where we change the text that shows here from slide to unlock to unlocking. We have if true, then we say update page state, the button text to slide to unlock. Otherwise, therefore, if it is less than this, the page state should be this. Otherwise, the page state should be unlocking. Therefore, if it is greater than 110, if it's past the middle of that container, then the page state should be unlocking. And that's it for what we have working this so far, right? So if we slide here, and if it's reaching that level, it's going to be like maybe unlocking somewhere around the middle here, and if it is below, then it's going to be unlocked. Anyways, I've enabled this. Now the final thing that actually we have to do to conclude that the user has slid right up to the end, because you don't want them like when they just touch this button, you trigger like okay, they have slided. They need to slide right up to the end. This is what we do on horizontal drag end. Or on horizontal drag end is an action trigger on FlutterFlow 5.0, one of the action triggers that they implemented. Now what happens on horizontal drag end is that if the user is dragging, right, and then if they drag and then they release their finger, wherever they release their finger, the events on horizontal drag end gets triggered. So that's what we want to listen for. So on horizontal drag end, we are checking if the current x is less than 250. Therefore, if the current position x is less than 250, that page state, then it means that this thing has not reached like towards the end here, because this container is 310. Somewhere around 250 should be around here. Let's just demonstrate. Can be somewhere around here. I don't know, but let's just say somewhere around here. And it means that the user has not dragged this item right up to the end. So if it's less than 250, what do? We simply set the current x value to back to 0. So we are resetting this value back to 0. If it is not up to 250, we are resetting this value back to 0. Therefore, it's going to bring back this thing, this our draggable widget, this widget that we are dragging, sorry, to the initial position. Since we've set that value back to 0, we are setting the current x back to value. And then we're also setting the button text to slide to unlock, because if it is somewhere around here, it's going to be showing unlocking, Then if it doesn't reaches 250, they'll want it to go back to slide to unlock, and they will perform the widget animation. That's what simply happens, right? And then otherwise, so if it is greater than 250, what do? We want to set the button text to unlocked, means the device has been unlocked. And then what? We just simply wait for about a second. I can reduce this to about 9 seconds. 0.9 second. Let me say 0.7 second. Anyways, let's use 700, 0.7 seconds. We just wait for a little bit, and then we'll update the page state, and we set is locked to false, which means the device is now open. That's simply how this condition here is what we use to determine whether or not that item has finally been unlocked. Sorry, whether the screen is unlocked. So if I reload and I test this, you're going to see the full implementation. And now you should have this, like if we slide again based on our condition, we are somewhere, when you reach somewhere in the middle, you should see it changes, the text changes to unlock him. If we release here, it's going to go back to the initial position. And let's slide somewhere around here, should be around 250. I think it should be less. I don't know if it's up to. Okay, it's less. And here, let's go to the final position. Like if you bring it right up to the end here and you release, it's going to show unlocked. Then when it changes the state of the of that page state, when it changes that page state, we now have this unlock screen. Anyways, guys, that's how to implement the swipe to unlock functionality, or you can call it drag it, push, or whatsoever. But that's the simplest way that you can do it without using custom code or anything. If you like this video, be sure to leave it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, please. That really helps me. And there'll be a couple of links in the description that you can check out. The links if you want to reach out to me or test this thing out. There'll be a link in the description. Thank you guys very much, and see you in the next video.